Okay, good afternoon. Now we're going to start the process of mudding the shower floor. That's the part that creates the slope, the pitch that the water hits the sides and then goes towards the middle of the drain. Now there's several different types of ways to do this, or several different types of systems you can use. And this is a method I'm going to teach you guys that I learned, and gosh, I've been doing it the chopping floor mud way is what they call it, chopping mud. I've been chopping mud for 10-12 years before I learned this way from an employee that I hired, and I saw him doing this. I was like, wow, that is so easy, and it's going to really take a lot of issues out of the floor mud process. So typically what you would do for like a new construction house, you take this floor mud, you'd pour 2 bags on the slab, and then you take a shovel and your water and you spread some water out, and then you basically flip and turn all the way around in a circle, kind of. And the reason why you had to do it this way is this mud is very susceptible to being overwatered or oversaturated. So if you're oversaturated, it's very, very hard to skim your floor out with your trowel. The mud will actually stick to your trowel. You really want it to just be wet enough to clump up in your hand, almost like a ball of clay, but not so wet that it just almost like creates like a hard ball of clay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to open up these couple of bags. I'm going to let the floor mud, I'm going to kind of spread it out a little bit, and then I'm going to add the water slowly. Again, it's very susceptible to water, so you'd rather add a little bit and have to slowly add than too much, and now all of a sudden your mud is too wet. So pretty cool process. It's a lot easier if you have 2 people, but you can definitely do it with 1 person. So I'm going to show you again. Some people mix it in buckets, some people have a mud pen that they carry and they mix it. It's just, this is the easiest method that I've seen, and I really, really like it. So all I'm going to do is just cut open my floor mud. I'm just going to spread it out. Now this just happens to be a piece of moisture barrier or house wrap that I had laying around. Sometimes we'll use tarps. It doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to open this up, dump this completely out. Now you can do multiple bags at a time if you want. We'll probably just do 1 bag at a time, just to where we can show you the process. So now you're just going to take your water and you're just going to add slowly. Not too much. I'm just going to do like 2 sponges for right now. And then my lovely assistant is going to come over here. And all you're going to do basically is just kind of fold it up on each other. So I'm going to fold to her. She's going to fold to me. Yep. Okay. And you'll start to see the mud kind of clumping up a little bit. I don't need any power, so if I'm doing this and I'm at a new construction site and there's no power there, this is very, very easy because I don't need any extension cords, nothing. So let's pull this over, lay that on the ground. You see the mud starting to ball up. That's what you want. This is still too dry, so we're going to add a little bit more water. Again, don't overwater your mud. Okay? Hold to me. You'll start to see your mud change in colors. You want it that nice, dark, consistent color. If you have too many light patches in there, you're going to run into dry patches and your mud won't dry correctly. You want a nice, consistent mix. Okay? All right, fold that out. Okay, still got a little bit of dry patches in here, but overall it's pretty consistently mixed. It's still a little dry. See, I can ball it in my hand. It's very, very, very close to being ready. I'm gonna add a couple more sponges of water, and then we should be ready to roll. I think I'll just do one more sponge. I don't want to overwater it. You're just lifting. Just look straight up. There you go. Okay, let's check that. That's really, really close. I think I can work with that. Okay, very good. Okay, so now we're in here, we're mudding the shower pan, and there's several different things that are playing into account. The biggest thing is you want to make sure that your mud is nice and compact. So some guys will just really, I've seen people break trowels before because they pack their mud down so tight. And you don't really want to pack your mud down until you know you got your pitch correct. So I always have several different levels on me when I'm doing this. And I got a 24-inch level here, and I'm just trying to make sure that my bubble, I have good fall, and that all depends on the height of your drain. So this is an adjustable drain. You could spin it up or spin it down. So I've got it pretty much set where I want it. And what I'm gonna do here is just kind of slowly, before I pack my mud down super, super tight, I'm making sure there's no bellies or bulges here in this run that I've got. So I basically start from one corner and I base everything else off of that one corner. So I'm just kind of floating around and taking this level and using it as a screed. And you can see I do have my mud just a little bit too wet. It's very, very, very close to being right, but it's just a pinch too wet, which is no big deal. But it just makes things a little bit more difficult when you're trying to drag your stuff across and clean your mud bed up. So biggest thing is once you get everything nice and flat, yes, you can go ahead and pack it down super, super tight. Again, I've seen guys literally break the metal on the handle because they're packing their floors down so tight. And the tighter you pack them, the less potential penetration you're going to get from water down into the shower pan. And you can also, many people will take and they'll paint their the whole shower pan or mud pan with RedGuard, which will help reduce the amount of water that gets all the way down to the shower pan. Not a necessity. Some guys like to do it. There's just so many different ways, so many different preferences that people have. Not to say that anybody's right or wrong. It's just their own personal preference. So I'm just going to go through here, pack this mud down. Once I pack it down, I'm just going to kind of drag it over, and you should have a really, really smooth finish on the entire mud floor when you're done. So one thing you really want to pay attention to is the fact that between this point and this point is shorter, right? It's a shorter distance. This point and this point is longer, and therefore your bubble, when you put your level on your bubble is just, I've got a little more than probably about a quarter of a bubble worth of fall, what they call it. And then, so now whenever I take this, my torpedo level, I've got a good amount of fall coming back there because this is a shorter distance. Now, a lot of guys, if you're not skilled enough, they'll measure their fall based off of this bubble. And then the problem is they'll go over here and then they don't really pay attention to the longer distance. The longer distance needs to have more fall because the water is going to have to drain a longer distance. So if they don't have the correct amount of fall on this side, then you're not going to get good drainage and you're going to have standing water in your shower, which is never really any good for mold and bacteria and mildew and stuff like that. I pretty much custom make my own little screed board with every job because every tile thickness is different. So basically I just cut a little piece for the tile. Some people have gauges for this and things that they kind of make up before you do your pan, but basically I run this underneath here, and what this allows for is your tile and your thin set to be able to slide underneath your shower. So we already know that this is exactly level all the way around the whole shower. So all we're doing is creating the void to tuck your tile up underneath that edge.
Miss Leanne's right there. Stop. All right, so Daniel and I are back over at the neighbor's house again, which I don't think we've worked a full day over here yet.